Guys, my name is Amish Tripathi and I'm the director of the Nehru Center. The Nehru Center is the cultural wing of the Indian High Commission in the UK, and we've been in existence for many decades, and we organize wonderful events at this very auditorium, which is in Mayfair in central London. Sadly, as you can see, the auditorium is empty. It has been empty since we were all put into lockdown due to the coronavirus pandemic. But what we Indians believe is that the other side of a crisis is an opportunity. And what we have done at the Nehru Center is moved all our events online. So now, if you attend our online events, every single seat is a VIP seat. Like you get a front row at our events, no trouble of parking, no trouble of traveling all the way, and most practically all the programs that we would do, like literary discussions and dance performances, musical performances. We are doing them all on our online channels. You can register for our newsletter at our website, nehrucenter.org.uk. You don't need to write them down. They will be displayed at the bottom of the screen. You can also come to our Facebook page, which is a verified page, the Nehru Center. You can follow updates on all our events on Twitter as well, the Nehru Center. That's also a verified account. Or you can come to our YouTube channel. Again, the Nehru Center. We are nothing if not consistent. I hope you do come to our online channels and enjoy the events that we're putting up for you. Thank you so much for all your love and support. Namaste. Jai Hind.
Namaste. My name is Amish Tripathi and I'm the director of the Nehru Center. Today is Parakram Divas. Parakram, as I'm sure many of you are aware, is the Hindi and Sanskrit word for courage. And it's difficult to think of a more courageous man than our Netaji, our leader, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. This is his birth anniversary, his 125th birth anniversary, and we are celebrating one of India's greatest freedom fighters, who has been an inspiration for all of India for decades. And in fact, I should tell you that I was recently in a program with a Bangladeshi High Commission. And it would delight all of you Indians to know that Bangladesh too is celebrating Netaji's 125th birth anniversary, because they recognize him as a treasure, not just for India, but for the entire subcontinent. And we are honored and delighted that the Nehru Center has got this opportunity to celebrate one of our greatest freedom fighters, one of our greatest heroes, our leader, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. We have a program laid out for you in which there will be a short film and many other dignitaries. If I could request your indulgence to sit through this program with us and through this honor one of India's greatest heroes, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose.
অনেকে আমাকে প্রশ্ন করছেন যে কংগ্রেস সভাপতির পদ ত্যাগ করবার পর আমি কি করব। এর উত্তরে আমি সর্বপ্রথমে আপনাদের স্মরণ করিয়ে দেব যে আজ ভারতবর্ষের সম্মুখে একটা মস্ত বড় সুযোগ উপস্থিত হয়েছে। এই সুযোগ যদি আমরা গ্রহণ করতে পারি, যদি ঠিক পথে চলে কৌশল অবলম্বন করে,
let us take full advantage of the present international situation and achieve our goal of complete independence.
পূর্ণ স্বরাজ লাভ করা আমাদের পক্ষে মোটেই কঠিন হবে না।
But in 1940, he was languishing in prison. So he gave an ultimatum to the British government and undertook a fast unto death. The government yielded and released him temporarily, ensuring, of course, that his activities and his movements were closely watched. On the 17th January 1941, at 1:35 a.m., Netaji, in the guise of an upcountry Muslim, Muhammad Ziauddin, tiptoed out of his room, went across the length of his Elgin Road house, and came down the rear staircase where I had parked the car. We drove out of the house in a most natural fashion and took the Grand Trunk Road. On the night of 18th January, we reached Gomo station, where he boarded the Delhi Kalka mail on his way to Peshawar.
Subhash Chandra Bose was born in Cuttack on January the 23rd, 1897. He was the ninth child of Janakinath and Prabhavati Bose. Brilliant in his studies, Subhash Bose eventually proceeded to England and successfully competed for the Indian Civil Service in 1920. Subhash Chandra Bose, Esquire, ICS. No, it sounded too much of a parody of his values. To him, life had but one meaning and one purpose: to seek freedom from bondage of every kind. Vande Mataram solved the dilemma he faced. Returning to India in 1921, Subhash Bose prepared himself for his baptism of fire in the independence struggle. Under the guidance of his guru, Deshbandhu Chittaranjan Das, he organized a total boycott in Calcutta on the occasion of the visit of the Prince of Wales to India. This resulted in the first of his many journeys to jail under British rule. In 1924, when C.R. Das was elected mayor of Calcutta, Subhash Bose was appointed chief executive officer. 6 years later, even while in prison, he was elected the mayor of Calcutta. 1921 to 1938, one agitation after another, in and out of jail, periods of exile. A brave man reduced to utter physical exhaustion. Subhash Bose was released on the express condition that he sought treatment outside India. In Europe, he missed no opportunity to campaign for the cause of India's independence. In January 1938, while abroad, he was elected President of the Indian National Congress. An extremist, in his own words, with the firm principle, all or none, Subhash Bose was indeed the most controversial political figure of his time. At the Tripuri session in 1939, he was elected Congress President for the second time, defeating Gandhiji's chosen nominee, Patabi Sitaramaiah. Subhash Bose, at that time, was for direct action against the British government.
Friends, outside India, the international situation appears to be favorable to India and her cause. And I believe that this is an opportunity which we cannot afford to lose, which India will not lose.
But this was not accepted by Gandhiji and others. Eventually, he was forced to resign from Congress presidentship and formed the Forward Bloc. In 1939, Subhash Bose invited Rabindranath Tagore to lay the foundation stone of the Mahajati Sadan in Calcutta, a memorial hall to the freedom fighters.
যার সংস্কার মুক্ত উদার আতিথ্যে মনুষ্যত্বের সর্বাঙ্গীন মুক্তি অকৃত্রিম সত্যতা লাভ করে।
(1941). After his disappearance from Calcutta to Kabul, Subhash Bose arrived in Berlin. At a meeting of the Free India Center,
we are now living in a period which is pregnant with immense possibilities. This is an opportunity which is rare in the history of a nation, which we cannot afford to lose, which India will not lose. Every commodity in this world has its price, so also has freedom. I appeal to you to be ready to pay the price of freedom, which is service and suffering.
the first Azad Hind Forge was formed in Berlin in September 1941, comprising Indian prisoners of war from Europe and North Africa.
आजाद हिंद फौज अपने मातृभूमि की ओर कूच कर रही है।
हम दिल्ली दिल्ली जाएंगे, हम बिगड़ी हिंद बनाएंगे, हम दिल्ली दिल्ली जाएंगे, हम बिगड़ी हिंद बनाएंगे। अब फौज बन कर रहना है, दुख दर्द मुसीबत सहना है। अब फौज बन कर रहना है, दुख दर्द मुसीबत सहना है। सुभाष का कहना है, चलो दिल्ली चल के रहना है।
In December, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor and the Second World War spread to Asia. The fall of Singapore rocked the foundations of the British Empire. Meanwhile, in India, the Indo-British parleys based on the Cripps mission made little headway. Finally, Mahatma Gandhi gave the Quit India call. The Indian freedom struggle was nearing the final phase. In June 1942, at a meeting in Bangkok, the Indian community invited Netaji to assume the leadership of the Indian freedom movement in East Asia. In response to the invitation, Netaji made a perilous journey in a German submarine around the Cape of Good Hope toward Penang. It took him 90 days, a change of submarines from the German to a Japanese, and a final trip by plane to reach Tokyo.
India and Japan have in the past been bound by deep cultural ties which are about 20 centuries old. In recent times, these cultural relations have been interrupted because of the British domination of India. It is, however, certain that when India is free, these relations will be revived and will be destiny.
Early in July 1943, Netaji arrived in Singapore. Veteran revolutionary Rash Bihari Bose, founder of the Indian Independence League, who had made Japan his home to save himself from British reprisal, entrusted Netaji with the leadership of the League.
सुभाष जान हिंद है, सुभाष शान हिंद है। सुभाष जी जान हिंद आ गए, नाज जिस हिंद को शान हिंद आ गए। वंदे मातरम, सलाम सुफलाम मलय जय सलाम, सत्य चमलाम मातरम। Friends and comrades,
You might ask me what I did in Tokyo for what present I have brought for you. Well, I have brought for you this present. A small flower. Brilliant leader and an uncompromising fighter. Friends and comrades in arms, in your presence today, I resign my office and appoint this Subhash Chandra Bose as President of the Indian Independence Movement.
श्री राजबिहारी जी बोस पूर्वी एशिया की जंग आजादी की नुमाइंदों, बहनों और भाइयों, सबसे पहले मैं आप लोगों के दिली इस्तकबाल के लिए और साथ ही साथ आपने जो मुझको पूर्वी एशिया की जंग आजादी के नेता बनाया, इसके लिए भी तहे दिल से आप लोगों का शुक्रिया अदा करता हूं।
On October 21st, 1943, Netaji established the Provisional Government of Azad Hind in Singapore. Chalo Dilli was the thundering war cry that the men of the Indian National Army heard from their supreme commander. There were no promises made. There were only promises to keep. Give me your blood. I will give you freedom. This is the demand of liberty. I am here to witness your blood seal for the liberty of your motherland. The skies reverberated to the full-throated shouts of Jai Hind. Recalling the formation of the Rani of Jhansi Brigade.
The Rani of Jhansi Brigade was formed by Netaji with the idea of giving Indian women also a chance to take part in the fighting movement. 75% of the members of the Rani of Jhansi regiment were purely trained as infantry soldiers and officers.
Netaji, while organizing the Indian National Army, also set about gaining recognition for the Azad Hind government from friendly nations. In the first week of November 1943, Netaji attended the Greater East Asia Conference held in Tokyo.
So long as Anglo-American imperialism is not overthrown, India has no hope of achieving her liberty. We are therefore determined to fight shoulder to shoulder with you, no matter how long and hard the struggle may be, and no matter what the suffering and the sacrifice involved may prove to be. Your names will go down in history, not merely as the makers of a new republic, not merely as the makers of a new East Asia, not merely as the makers of a new Asia, but as the makers and the architects of a new world.
On December 29th, Netaji arrived at Port Blair to take control of Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Japan had earlier announced the handing over of these territories to the Azad Hind government. The liberation of the Andamans was likened by Netaji to the liberation of the Bastille during the French Revolution. He renamed the Andamans as Shahid and Nicobar as Swaraj. With the war guns booming across the eastern borders of India, the advance headquarters of the INA were shifted to Rangoon.
The INA formation, which took part in the Battle of Imphal, were number 1 division under the command of General Muhammad Zaman Khan. It had 3 brigades. Number 1 brigade, known as the Subhash Brigade, was commanded by me. Number 2 brigade, known as Gandhi Brigade, was commanded by Inayat Khan. Number 3 brigade, known as Azad Brigade, was commanded by Colonel Gulzar Singh. In addition to this, there was the intelligence group, which was under the command of Colonel Shaukat Malik.
We are conscious that the soil of India is going to be the last theater of war in this part of the world. Friends, I do not know how many of us who are going to participate in the coming battles will survive to see India free. But whether we survive or not, whether we individually live to see India free or not, we are confident that India shall be free. We are confident that Anglo-American imperialism will be wiped out of India. We are confident that the menace that now hangs over East Asia will be removed once for all.
कदम कदम बढ़ाए जा, खुशी के गीत गाए जा, ये जिंदगी है कौम की तो कौम पे लुटाए जा। कदम कदम बढ़ाए जा, खुशी के गीत गाए जा, ये जिंदगी है कौम की तो कौम पे लुटाए जा। तू शेर हिंद आगे बढ़, मरने से फिर भी तू न डर, उड़ा के दुश्मनों का सर जो शे वतन बढ़ाए जा। तू शेर हिंद आगे बढ़, मरने से फिर भी तू न डर, उड़ा के दुश्मनों का सर जो शे वतन बढ़ाए जा। कदम कदम बढ़ाए जा, खुशी के गीत गाए, ऐ जिंदगी है कौम की तो कौम पे लुटाए जा। कदम कदम बढ़ाए जा, खुशी के गीत गाए जा, ऐ जिंदगी है कौम की तो कौम पे लुटाए जा।
The unpredictable monsoon cut off even the slender lines of supplies and halted the march towards Delhi. To add to the distress, the INA had no air cover. On the other hand, the Allied forces commanded unlimited air support and continuous reinforcements.
Friends, I do not know how many of us who are going to participate in the coming battles will survive to see India free. But whether we survive or not, whether we individually live to see India free or not, we are confident that India shall be free.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Gautam Basu. I am a consultant plastic surgeon practicing in London for the last 25 years. I'm honored by the invitation extended to me by the Indian High Commission in London to speak on Netaji, on his Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose on his 125th birth anniversary. We as Indians have great love and respect for Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. He is the continuous burning fire in our hearts. He is the single man most responsible for the independence of India from British rule. As we know, Gandhiji was the main architect of Indian independence, but the way Netaji organized the Indians in the British Army as Indian National Army, Azad Hind Fauj, who rose up in revolt against the British, that was the single most important cause for which the British left India in haste. We all remember Netaji, the way he organized the women of India to join the Indian National Army under the leadership of Lakshmi Sehgal, and the way he organized revolts and also attacked the British Army from in eastern India and came up to Imphal. And the way he organized everything, and then he unfortunately died. Well, this is we don't know for sure. He's supposed to have died in an air crash, but since then he was absent in India. But his memory and his name always burns like a fire in the hearts of all Bengalis and Indians. We remember him today on his 125th birth anniversary, which is being celebrated in India on 23rd January, and especially in Calcutta by ICCR. Our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, is going to inaugurate that on Saturday, 23rd January. We are all very proud and to celebrate his birthday on this day, which we do every year, especially this year on his 125th birth anniversary. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind.
I was brought up in a middle-class Bengali family in Kolkata, and Netaji was an integral part of our growing up. He symbolized for us the ultimate benchmark in valor, discipline, sacrifice, and patriotism. In youth, the disdain with which this brilliant student gave up the civil services, thus rejecting a foreign occupying force, and plunged into politics was inspiring. As students, we were fascinated when we learned about the strength of his convictions and his ability to stand up to his belief, even challenging the top leadership of the Congress. His escape from the Elgin Road residence and from the clutches of the British police and moving through the breadth of India, through Afghanistan, into Russia, and then into Europe are stuff legends are made of. His journey in a submarine from Germany to Japan, his taking over the command of the Indian National Army, the thrust through Burma, and the raising of the tricolour in Manipur was symbolic beginning of the end of the British Raj. His war cry of "Give me blood and I will give you freedom" still reverberates. The INA trials that followed in Delhi made the British realize that the ground was slipping under the Raj. The most disconcerting factor for the Raj was the significant militant public support that the soldiers of the INA received. At some places, NCOs in the British Indian Army started ignoring their British superiors. The British garrisons had to face revolts within the ranks of the British Indian Army. Netaji's legacy thus lives on. If anything, his sense of purpose, confidence in his own ability, commitment to the cause and to the nation are elements we need today. Our parents tried to inculcate Netaji's thoughts in us. In our limited way, we try to pass this on to the next generation. My daughter, brought up in England, chose the topic of Bose's role in the Indian freedom struggle as her subject in her extended professional qualification in her GCSEs in 2020. Bose will live on in our hearts.
I'm very glad that the Nehru Center is celebrating the birthday of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Subhash Bose was an incredible figure whose contribution to India should never, ever be ignored. Back in 1982, I wrote a biography of Subhash Bose. It was called The Lost Hero. And I'm going to read a bit from that biography. It has since been reprinted many times, and I'm working on another new edition. Now, let me read to you what I wrote in that book. Subhash Bose is important on many counts. He was in some ways the most Indian of the great nationalist leaders, religious, full of Indian mysticism, and devoted to the ancient Indian loyalties of the land, the rivers, and the soil. Yet curiously, he was also very Western. As a student in Calcutta and London, he had deeply imbibed the Western tradition of rationalism. Bergson's Elan Vital was always a prod for endeavor. And in the traditions of Western secularism, religion for him was a private, personal thing. A little prayer corner in his room, very often the prison cell, a well-thumbed Gita, and a few quiet hours in a reformist Hindu mission, the Ramakrishna mission. In an age overflowing with conscientious politicians who were always willing to compromise, Bose was the outstanding example of a politician with convictions, a man who preferred his deeply felt nationalism to the easy, luxurious life of an Indian civil servant. He had qualified for the ICS, but resigned, despite many pleas by the British that he shouldn't, because he said he could not serve a foreign ruler. And he was a revolutionary who genuinely sought a radical transformation of Indian society. For instance, one of his ideas was that Hindi should become the national language, but it should be in an anglicized script. A very interesting idea, and that, I think, would have helped transform India. And of course, he escaped from India, walked to Kabul, and sought foreign help to try and liberate India. It's very interesting, looking back to 1982 when I first published my book, how attitudes to Subhash Bose, particularly in England, has changed. Then everybody here felt Bose was a traitor, a man who had betrayed Britain. When I told them that Bose was a colonial subject whose land wasn't free and he had the right to fight for his independence, they said he was an irrational person, consumed by hatred of the British. So much so that his college in Cambridge had made no mention of his name. All that has begun to change. Bose is recognized for what he was, though, of course, there are still lots of questions and doubts raised about what Bose did during the war and so on. In India, Bose is, of course, honored, parks, buildings, statues of him. But what I've found, and I found that in the 70s and 80s when I was researching this book, and even today, not enough is known about what Subhash Bose did in his very short life, how he tried to make Indians believe that what they really wanted was freedom, not a compromise with the British. And he had to fight people in the nationalist movement, people within the Congress Party, to make that argument. And of course, he had to fight even Mahatma Gandhi during his battles with the nationalist movement and its leaders. And of course, he took the view that India needed the help of foreign powers. As he put it, George Washington took foreign help from the French and the Spanish to defeat the British, so why shouldn't Indians? And I think Bose needs to be studied properly. Bose's life should be examined, what he did, what he sacrificed in order that India should become free.
Hello everyone, I'm Millie Basiroy. I'm an artist and art teacher from London. I did my bachelor from Calcutta, India, and completed my post-graduation in fine art from St. Martin's, London. So during this 125th birth anniversary, I am honored to make 3 of my painting and dedicate on Netaji's 125th birth anniversary. So I'm approached by High Commission of India from London. So I tried my level best to dedicate my own way to our great hero. So I just started working on his first painting with the acrylic medium on paper. That size was 92 centimeter and 63 centimeter. I submitted to Nehru Center. This is that cultural department here, Indian embassies. So it's supposed to go for ICCR for the exhibition in India. My first painting I tried, Subhash Chandra Bose, depict through this painting, he actually aroused the Indian National Army to rise and revolt against the British rule. He was a bright new force, like a sun, inspired and spread the rays through his determination, dedication, and his self sacrifice for our motherland. We are proud of him, and he always in our heart. As a Bengali, we are proud. We are literally from our childhood, we brought up in that way that Netaji is our actually energy force. We always feel like that. So this is my painting. That's why I put over there that sun effect and Netaji over there and Netaji's army, INA force, Azadin force with Netaji's background, and it's underneath the support and all the encouragement from Netaji. And we actually amazed when I'm actually researching about Netaji. When we was young, we actually have in our history book a lot. But when I actually started searching all details, I'm mesmerized how one gentleman can do that much power. Something very special we always feel, and he without him, our independence probably we can't achieve. His force, his energy, his dedication, such a brilliant background, very relaxing lifestyle. He just threw it because of the motherland. We can't believe how people can do that and that much sacrifice. In our generation, this is a great, actually, a learning things from him still now. We are actually motivated by his energy. I hope our India will get all the good positive side for our motherland, and we are proud of our India, and we are really proud of our Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. And I need to say about bit of my second painting also. In that painting, I try to depict how he inspired the Oman Indian Army Force to join for the Indian independence movement by late the leadership of Mr. Lakshmi Shegal. This is unbelievable. On that those period of time, how Netaji actually inspired all the Oman force. Within a few days, I heard 1,500 means that army force, women army force actually joined with his and also all the motivation. That speech was like that, and it was in Singapore. So how people actually have that motivation from Netaji, and he can actually have that charisma, that means positive energy he can spread. So this is why I actually put that women's on that time when we women actually still now somewhere we are actually deprived. That thing I don't know when we can actually overcome our India and all over world. Women should be have that respectful area. So our Netaji actually on that time actually showed we can do that. He trusts us. He gave us that much power. So this is a great honor for all women, what he actually shows. That's why I did this second painting. And my third painting, I just want to show over there the liberation of India from British rule. And the birds, it signify, I put over there some birds, Netaji over there, and those birds actually signify peace after liberation. And Netaji was the most strongest force behind it. Without him, our Indian independence, we can't probably have that way. So it's really, really great pride moment. We can actually cherish his memory in this particular time. I wish if we can see him, we can meet our evergreen hero. He will be always in our heart. Jai Hind. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you.